Hi everyone, my name is Robert, and today we are breaking down what is MCP or Model Context Protocol and building our own MCP server. In this demo, we will use Zapier and Cursor. At its core, MCP is a way to bundle multiple APIs into a single unified protocol connection. Think of it like plugging in one cable that instantly connects you to a whole suite of tools, instead of having to connect each tool separately. This approach makes a lot of sense when you consider how many APIs exist today. Manually linking thousands of APIs for different apps and services is messy, inefficient, and time-consuming. MCP solves that by grouping these APIs under one protocol umbrella, simplifying how AI agents or programs interact with multiple tools simultaneously. If you would like to learn more about MCP, I created another video. I have the link in the description below. All right, let's jump into the demo. I want to show you exactly how an AI agent works when it's connected to an MCP client handling multiple commands at once. No waiting, no juggling between apps. So, an example of what MCP can do is that you can give the AI agent 3 commands simultaneously. First, create an email draft. Second, draft a Google Doc. And third, schedule a meeting on my calendar. These are typical tasks you might do every day, but watch how the AI agent manages them all at the same time. You would type in all 3 requests, and the agent immediately parses each one. It understands the context of every command and knows which MCP APIs to call. The email API for the draft, the Google Docs API for the document, and the calendar API for scheduling. What's cool here is that these MCP API calls happen concurrently. Instead of doing one task after the other, the agent sends all 3 requests out at once, leveraging MCP's bundled protocol. That means the responses come back quickly, and the agent aggregates the results in real time. When you submit the chat, you would see each task complete one after another in seconds. The email draft shows up, the Google Doc is created and ready, and the meeting is scheduled, all without me switching between apps or clicking anything else. All right, now let's get practical. Building your own Model Context Protocol server using Zapier is surprisingly straightforward. First, head over to zapier.com/MCP and sign in with your usual account. If it's your first time here, just follow the prompts to get started. Once you're in, the key thing you want to do first is create a new MCP server. We will choose Cursor for the purposes of this demo. Then you want to grab your unique MCP server endpoint URL. Think of this like your server's home address. It's where your AI agent will send requests to trigger actions. This URL is private, so keep it to yourself. Anyone with access to it could potentially use your MCP server to run tasks. Next up, defining what your MCP server actually does. This is where you edit MCP actions. Actions are basically commands or tasks your server can perform. For example, you might set an action to send an email using Gmail, create a new Google Doc, and schedule a meeting in Google Calendar. Zapier makes this flexible since you can use any app it integrates with. Speaking of apps, Zapier supports over 7,000 of them. That means you can add new actions by simply picking from this huge list. Whether it's Slack messages, Trello cards, or Twitter posts, you can build a suite of actions that cover pretty much any workflow you want to automate. For each action, you have control over how inputs get set. You can let the AI guess and fill in some inputs based on context, or you can manually specify certain values yourself. For example, if you want to always send emails to the same person, you can hard code that. Or if the recipient varies, you can allow AI to decide during runtime. Once you've configured all the actions you want, the last step is to enable them and save your MCP setup. From this point on, your server endpoint is live and ready to receive commands from your AI client, which we'll cover next. This process not only makes your MCP server highly customizable, but also lets you scale easily. Add or remove actions anytime without touching any code. Zapier handles the heavy lifting of connecting all the apps behind the scenes. In short, Zapier turns building an MCP server from a daunting coding challenge into a simple, user-friendly experience that anyone can pick up and start using right away. Getting your MCP server up and running is a key step, so let's talk about where and how you can deploy it. The trailblazer here has been Claude's desktop application, which really pioneered MCP deployment in a user-friendly way. It's a solid example because it integrates MCP directly into a desktop environment, letting you connect AI agents with multiple tools seamlessly right from your computer. This setup is pretty approachable for most users since it's mostly plug and play. That said, Claude Desktop isn't your only option. Another great environment to consider is Cursor. Cursor is a platform designed specifically for building and running AI applications with code. It supports MCP deployment, but you'll find it requires a bit more technical know-how compared to Claude Desktop. You'll be writing and managing some code, but the trade-off is more flexibility and control. If you want to go even deeper, there's the option of native code deployment. This means you build your MCP server from the ground up, handling all the infrastructure yourself. It's the most complex path. You need to manage server environments, secure your endpoints, and ensure everything scales properly. But for those comfortable with backend development, this route offers the ultimate customization. So, to sum up, Claude Desktop is the easiest and quickest way to get started with MCP deployment. Cursor offers a middle ground with code flexibility but added complexity. And native code deployment is the most powerful, yet requires significant technical resources and experience. All right, now that we've built our MCP server using Zapier, the next step is to deploy it on Cursor. Cursor is a platform that makes it super easy to run and manage your MCP servers without the hassle of setting up infrastructure or dealing with complicated deployment pipelines. First, head over to cursor.com and download the application. It's available for all major operating systems, so pick the one that suits you. The installation is straightforward, just follow the prompts. Once you have Cursor installed, open it up and sign in. You'll land in the dashboard, which is your central place for managing everything. Click in the upper right-hand side under Settings. Look for the MCP section under Tools and Integrations. This is where you can add and monitor your MCP servers. Click on the option to add a new MCP server. This will prompt you to set up your server configuration. Since we already have our MCP endpoint from Zapier, we're going to use that here. Grab the MCP endpoint URL with the JSON configuration that Zapier generated for you. It will contain a unique URL that represents your combined actions and workflows bundled into an MCP server. Paste the JSON configuration into the setup form on Cursor. After pasting the URL, save your configuration using Command-S on a Mac or Control-S in Windows. This step connects Cursor directly to your Zapier MCP server. Now it will immediately attempt to establish a connection with your MCP server. Look for a green dot or some indicator showing the connection status. The green dot means everything is live and the MCP server is active and ready to handle requests. From here, your MCP server is deployed on Cursor and you can start interacting with it through their platform or integrate it further with AI agents. This setup abstracts away all the back-end complexity and lets you focus on building smarter workflows and automations. That's the deployment part in a nutshell. Simple, fast, and no coding required. Now that we've set up your Model Context Protocol server, it's time to put it to the test. On the right panel, you'll see a chat input box. This is where you interact directly with your AI agent connected through MCP. Think of it as having a conversation with your assistant, but instead of just chatting, it can trigger real actions across multiple apps. Let's try a simple command to see everything in action. Type something like, create a Google Doc and write a paper about why the sky is blue. Once you hit enter, watch closely. The agent will parse your request, identify the right tools it needs to use, like Google Docs API wrapped in your Zapier workflow, and execute the steps automatically. Within moments, a new Google Doc will be generated in your drive, and the content will be there, a neatly written document outlining why the sky is blue. What's happening behind the scenes is that the agent receives your text input, interprets the intent, and sends that instruction through the MCP endpoint you created. Your Zapier workflows then handle specific tasks like, in this case, creating docs or writing text. You don't need to worry about connecting multiple APIs or writing complex code. MCP and your setup make all those integrations invisible. MCP serves as a single communication hub, bundling multiple API calls into one seamless process. Testing this way proves the power and simplicity of MCP, a single interface controlling many apps through one protocol. Once you're comfortable with this, you can expand commands to schedule meetings, pull data from other services, or trigger entire workflows, all from that same chat input. This is the core value of MCP: natural language input, automated multi-tool execution, and a smooth user experience without complexity. All right, that's a solid overview of Model Context Protocols and how you can start building your own MCP server using Zapier and Cursor. If you want to really level up your automations, MCPs are where it's at. They simplify everything by bundling multiple APIs into a single connection, letting your AI agents work smarter and faster. I've included a link to the Zapier MCP tool in the description below. It's a great starting point to experiment with your own workflows without writing any code. Dive in, explore, and see how much you can streamline your daily tasks. Before you go, remember to like and subscribe if you found this walkthrough helpful. Thanks for sticking with me through this. I'm excited to see what you build with MCPs. Until next time, take care and keep automating.